Pro wrestling is the closest thing in real life to a comic book.
The thing about pro wrestling is that we're physical embodiments of what a lot of people want to be. Each wrestler represents somebody in the audience.
Most of us that read comics were attracted to pro wrestling because you saw guys like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior that were these big, basically comic book characters in real life.
We're living superheroes who actually do jump off top ropes and fly and do amazing things, you know what I mean, with our body and our physicality.
Beyond the colorful costumes and exaggerated physiques, pro wrestling and comic books share a common struggle to be taken seriously as forms of art. Writer Michael Kingston aims to silence these critics with his professional wrestling comic series, Headlocked.
I think if you've been a wrestling fan any length of time, you have to defend it to people, you know, probably at least half the people you know. So, you know, I wanted to do something that sort of treated wrestling with respect. So the concept behind Headlocked is the kid is a theater major who falls in love with wrestling and, you know, for the performance art aspect of it, and he quits school and it's his journey like through the wrestling business.
Mike has a really, really good insight into the business. There's times reading the story where I was like, wow, I went through something just like that, and just the little nuances of what somebody trying to come up in the business, making a name for themselves goes through.
You know, as he learns the wrestling business, we're sort of examining the craft of wrestling through the eyes of a performance artist, but then at the same time, he's sort of navigating the underbelly of the business, which kind of gives it, you know, the story a little punch. I want it to be my defense for wrestling as an art form.
For somebody that doesn't know the inner workings of the wrestling business, this comic book's actually really insightful because it takes you on the journey.
A year ago, I was just a normal college kid. Good friends, decent grades, and I walked away from it all to chase the bright lights and the big stage of professional wrestling.
When I started, I was just a guy with an indie book, and I would go to shows and set up, and, you know, Rob Van Dam would come by as a fan, and, you know, hey, let me see this, you know, oh, this is awesome, you know, anything I can do to help, you know, and Shane Helms, another big comic fan, you know, and then it sort of spiraled from there. I met Jerry Lawler, and he's an artist, and he agreed to do covers for me, and then we have more wrestlers contributing art to the book than we have traditional comic book artists. You know, we're not supported by any major promotions, we're not supported by any major comic book publishers, we're double independent, I guess, so everybody kind of, you know, everybody likes the book and they like what we're trying to do, and they're just trying to help us get to the next level. You can order it off our website at headlockcomic.com.
And if you dig wrestling and comics, it's the perfect hybrid.